Hatapu, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, Haru Nefer. This is Kasankma Keparu here with another video for you. And in today's video, we're going to talk about how to control and manipulate someone. But before we do that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. If it's your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button so that you can get a notification of when I go live or upload new videos. And also consider becoming a Patreon supporter. You can do so for as little as $1 or $5 per month. You get access to exclusive videos on the esoteric. They're exceptional videos that will teach you how to perform a ritual, how to do oracle readings, how to basically put together a magical amulet, breathing techniques, all of that good stuff. So become a Patreon supporter. You can cancel at any time. Also, we have some free ebooks that you can download. The links are in the description box below. You just click on those links. You can download the ebooks now, and they'll take you further in depth into the esoteric and about my teachings. So welcome. And what I want to talk about here is kind of like a tricky subject in a way. And this is about controlling and manipulating people so that it benefits you. Now, that's kind of a very clandestine topic, almost Machiavellian. It's like, well, why are you going to teach us that? Or why are you going to talk about that? Well, it's very important that we understand that not only given the fact that we have these powers, but there are also aspects that come along with those powers that we need to be knowledgeable about. So let me explain. First and foremost, if you have been watching my videos and following my teachings, you understand the fact that I talk about we live in a type of a matrix. We live in a type of holographic experience. Michael Talbot in his book, The Holographic Universe, he explains this. Vadim Zeland in his book, Reality Transurfing, explains this. We are multidimensional beings and we're shifting to different parallel worlds. The reason why we don't know it, feel it, or aware of it, because the parallel worlds that we shift to are vibrationally aligned to or are similar to the ones we are in now. So you're not going to see that big of a difference. But I've always also talked about the quantum leap factor. If you can quantum leap to a new reality and take that big leap, you will then notice a difference. And some of us do that. And we become aware of that change. And then others of us will interpret that as a glitch in the matrix. You'll see something and it just doesn't seem right. You know what I mean? But the thing that you have to keep in mind and understand is that all of these things are an emanation from you. You are creating this experience which you're interacting with because you are the architect. See, in The Matrix, the movie, Neo was Neo, and he was also the architect, and he was also the oracle. You must understand that what you are interacting with are different aspects of you. You are not interacting with independent, sentient beings. No, because as the Matrix said, there is only one, and that one is you. There's only you in this experience. You are under the illusion that there's individuality. You're under the illusion that everyone is acting autonomously, which in a way they are, but you are the one that is manufacturing or manifesting us. Now, you do this in two ways. Number one, there are people who are in close proximity to you, right? So those people are the individuals you'll be interacting with directly. You understand? You'll be talking with them. You'll be hanging out with them. You'll go see a movie. You'll go to dinner with them. You'll work with them. Then they are the background elements. The Truman Show really gave us an insight as to what's going on because Truman, you know, he was in an experience. It was a manufactured experience where it was a set and it was all a production of film. He had grown up in that environment, not knowing that everyone he was communicating with were actors. Jim Carrey, who now has become enlightened, is talking more about this. You are the actor in an experience and you're being watched. Why is it in that movie the sun was very prominent in that movie? And even today, we talk about the Son of God, Ra, or, you know, we have that image of the all-seeing eye, which the producer used that to watch Truman. That's how he was able to see him. That's how we were able to see him. This is analogous to how we're living now, or how you're living. You are going about your day-to-day basis interacting with the so-called beings, independent beings that you think are real, friends and family members, but they're actors in your movie, in your production, in your TV show. You see? And there's someone watching you. And I've said this in many of my videos. This is why you see, like in CBS and all these other television stations, they use the all-seeing eye of Oseer, the Ujat, because consciousness is observing you, because you're going through an experience so that the oversoul can gain knowledge from that experience. And that knowledge is collected so that Neter, Nebetur, can understand its full potential. See, Neter, Nebeter has infinite power, but it doesn't have experience. Infinite wisdom, but doesn't have experience. So it needs you. It needs individuality. It needs this objective realm to have experience. And it will have an infinite number of experiences because you will die, your memory will be wiped, and you will be reincarnated, and you will do it again. And all that experience is collected by the oversoul and stored in the Akashic records. Do you follow me? Now, the actors in your production, your TV show, your movie, your play, whatever you want to call it, you have your two types. You have your main players, which are you and your mother, your father, your sister, your brother. Then you have the background extras. And these are the people where you may see far off in the distance, walking around, but they're not real. They are only as real as the matrix needs them to be to fill their function. You see, ants drill down into the dirt, and they work in colonies and things of that nature. Why aren't they intelligent? An ant has no conception of who we are or what we are, but it doesn't need to fulfill its purpose of drilling down there and creating, the burrows in the earth and working with the colonies. That's not its function to understand who we are. So it doesn't need to understand that. So the Terra God didn't make them with that understanding. A lion, and I'm being a little funny here, doesn't need to know how to vogue. That's not its function. So the Terra didn't make it with the knowledge of going on stage and voguing. So those background players, they're one-dimensional, they're extras in the background. And they don't have within them, in their being, to have a conversation with you. They can't. That's not what they're there for. They're just there to be backgrounds. But if you were to try and have a conversation with them, and you saw, like, for example, you see an extra 6 blocks away, and you run, try to catch that person, then the matrix will download information into that extra to now make it more of a main player in the production. Do you understand what I'm saying? And no longer becomes an extra. With that in mind, you must understand, in mind, that all of this is in the mind. You are manifesting this internally, because the reality is, and the Matrix really covered this great, really, really wonderful way. Because when Neo was plugged into the Matrix, he was in like this like embryo stage. The reality is, there is no outside. There is nothing going on out here. That's an impossibility. There's nothing externalized that's going on. It's all going on in your head. But you're given the illusion that there's an external world that you're interacting with. Now, with all of this going on inside you, it's really, really awesome. Let me just give you an example. Today we were doing a pitch for a video to a client. I was, showing a commercial, and we show 4 cuts of the commercial to the client. And I'm sitting there, and it's about like 16 of us sitting around a chair, sitting around a table with the monitor, and I'm sitting there, and I'm in awe at everything I'm creating to have this experience. Then I came home and I meditated. And when I didn't go deep into trance, but I went deep enough to where I projected into a different dimension. And I saw these beings in this dimension. And then they were doing some really crazy things. And I was just like, who are they? What are they? And then again, I had to keep in mind that all this is within me. There is no real other dimension. You see, when you get to 5D, there is no space and time. So there's nowhere to go. You think you're going somewhere. So even though I think I'm astral projecting to this alternate dimension to interact with these strange beings, and they were fascinating, it was very interesting, I had to keep in mind that I'm not really going anywhere because there's nowhere to go. Because you exist as consciousness. What's the first principle of consciousness? Is non-locality, meaning that you don't exist in any one fixed place in space and time. You exist everywhere. You're here, you're on the moon, you're in Alpha Centauri, you're in Zeta Reticuli, you're everywhere. You're in the 12th dimension. Now, I'm trying to just bring home to you the enormity of what you are and who you are. The idea that all of this is manifested from you will help you to understand to a degree how these individuals are nothing more than states of being. Let me say it again. The people in your reality are states of being. They're not people. They are reflections of you, aspects of you, but different states of being of you. When you interact with them, you have to forget language, verbal communication, because the universe operates through symbols and emotions. Nikola Tesla said, you want to master the understanding of the universe, study energy, vibrations. That's what you're looking at. You're looking at individuals in your reality, and who and what they are is nothing more than different aspects of you or states of being. This is why it's important that we keep in mind when God said, I am that I am. Because who you are is multifaceted, it's complex. I am this, I am that. You are everything, yet no one thing. Keep that in mind. You are everything, yet no one thing. And when you're doing your magic, the most important thing to keep in mind is state of being. Because the state of being is an energy, is a frequency. And that is how you communicate to the universe what you want. You don't tell the universe, I want to attract money. I want to attract a mate. I want a better job. No, you have to first feel the emotion of already having it. You have to be it. You have to be it. You have to shift vibrationally to be it. What is it like to be wealthy? What is it like to be wealthy? Feel it. Feel that emotion. What is it like to feel in good health? Exhibit that. Now, this is called a state. There are many different states, and this is how we do it in hypnosis. I'm talking with my mate. She says something that I don't like. Well, it upsets my person, but I know that vibrationally, there are infinite number of states that I can choose from. So I can recall in my mind a time when I felt happy and then shift vibrationally to that state, and I'm no longer upset at my mate. I am now in a state of happiness. Next rule, state. State is transferable. State is transferable. You must understand that. So when you get into state, your boss says something you don't like. Accept it, vibrationally shift to a state that makes you happy. Think about, oh, I was out last night with this really cute girl. Oh, I remember that time I was walking down the street and found $20 on the floor. Go to that moment and feel it within your being. This is a little bit of vodka. Russian vodka. Just kidding. All right. We are dealing with the goddess Heru, Hathor, when we talk about this. Hang with me now. State is transferable. Now, if I'm exhibiting a certain state, that information is being communicated to the universe that I want that certain thing. If I'm visualizing it. Now, when I'm talking to my mate, I'm talking to someone else, and I shift vibrationally into that state, what happens? State is transferable. You see, we're all connected to each other through the 100 monkey principle. Research the 100 monkey principle, or this 100 monkey syndrome, the Japanese mesquite monkeys, 1950s. They found out that behavior, culture, that we're all connected. And if you think something, that thought can be transferred to other people. Thoughts are transferable. Thoughts are not yours. You can have a crazy thought and you're not responsible for that because their thoughts are floating out there in the ether and they will come and you can intercept them. But if you dwell on that thought, then you own it and it is yours. But if you allow it to pass through you, then hey, okay. You're not going to stop yourself from having crazy thoughts because the thoughts are out there. They're floating around. State is transferable. Thoughts are transferable because thoughts come from state. Now, if I want to influence my mate because we had an argument, I shift vibrationally to the state that I want. And when I'm in that state, it will directly influence her. She will start to vibrationally shift too. However, if I stay angry, if I stay emotional, then that state will feed her state and then she won't change. But if I immediately shift to a different state, that psychic energy will throw her state off and then she will vibrationally align. They did studies. Hold on one second. They did studies, right? You know what? Let me do something real quick. Hold on a second. All right. They did studies of individuals, and what they found out that when people are in groups or in pairs, they vibrationally shift to start to mimic each other. We know that women, when they get together, their cycles align. You understand what I'm saying? So when you're getting together with other people, there is an opportunity to influence them. So now we know that it's about state. State is transferable. Now, the way I work with people is this. You have someone who is not feeling well. You have someone who is going through financial hardship, right? Now, me being a Pisces and predominantly a right brain person, it means that I can access my imagination, I can access my emotions. All right. Now, you must understand that who you are is consciousness, and consciousness exists in 5D, meaning you exist not in linear space time. Remember, I said before, your true state is one of non locality, meaning you do not exist at any one point in space and time. And there is nowhere for you to go because there's no separation, there's no space. Hence, you are everywhere. So my aunt calls me on the phone and she says, I am not feeling well. So I immediately shift my vibrational state to one of feeling healthy. And then I visualize her being healthy. And because there's no separation, there's no space, she will then receive that energy and then she will feel healthy and feel better. But it must be a sincere feeling that you invoke within you. All right. That is one way in terms of healing people from a distance. You have family members, friends who are not feeling well. Immediately shift yourself to a positive state, one where you felt happy, healthy, vibrant, and visualize them maybe jumping around, competing in sports. And when you do that, that energy will affect them and they will get healed. The same goes for someone maybe going through financial difficulties. If you shift to a vibrational state where you feel and you are wealthy and you visualize them coming into wealth, their situation will change. Does that make sense? All right. So let's get deeper. All right, let's get deeper on that. So now we've talked about helping people, healing people, right? Now, you must understand that it does you no good to argue with yourself, to get into physical altercations with yourself. Let's say, for example, you're driving, you may get into a road rage incident, you get out your car, somebody gets in a car, you're both arguing, right? And the situation escalates. You don't want to do that. Or you're arguing with your brother, your mate. What you need to understand is you're arguing with yourself because, again, they're avatars. They're just merely different states of your being. All right. So, in understanding that, you must also know that you can manipulate the situation to your favor, meaning you can turn them around and control their state, control what they think, merely by you shifting your energy. Now, this will take time. You may try it right away and you will not see an immediate change because you are a novice and you have to still build up momentum and you have to learn to go into trance induction. What does that mean? That means that you have to learn to tap deeply into the subconscious mind. When you are in that state, you meaning that you are arguing with somebody, immediately shut it down. Excuse yourself from the situation. Do not argue with them. Go into a private room, sit there, stand there, meditate, take yourself into the subconscious mind, do your breathing work, do your visualization, recite your mantra, go into the subconscious mind and see yourself working the problem out with this individual. Just see it, feel it. And I guarantee you, next time you interact with that person, they may come and apologize to you. They may come and start to say things that you were just thinking. And you're like, you know what? I was just thinking that. Oh my God, that's weird. That is because that person is you. Do you get what I'm saying? That person is you. A state of being, a different aspect of you that you can control, that you can manipulate. The key is trance, learning to go within and to divorce yourself from the third D reality, meaning the world, the 3D, meaning individuality. You're under the illusion that there's individuality. There is not. Everything is one. You are all one. So, so one of the great things that when you come to this understanding is that when things happen in your life, you now know that there's no reason to have an emotional reaction to it. What I mean by I could be talking to people and get into an embarrassing situation or be insulted by someone, but I really drop back to a perspective of they don't exist. So there's no reason for me to get emotionally uptight about it. Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect. There are times when somebody will say something and the animal spirit within me will have a knee jerk reaction, you know. But what I'm saying to you is when you start accepting the belief system to your core that these things that are happening in your life are merely stage productions, they're scripted, then you understand what's going on, that you are just a star of your own movie and you can write this script. Now, there's limitations within that. You can't rewrite the script to where you're in a rocket ship flying through space with $1 million in the cockpit, you know? You have to keep things in mind. And also one of the things you have to do, and you have to really understand this too, is that the thing that I get from people the most is this. People always say, I tried your technique and it didn't work. I said, well, you just started. You know, how could you think that you'll be proficient at this in just a week or so? There are magicians, black magicians, who are doing this stuff and they've been doing it for years. They've been practicing it for years. And they've got such psychic powers that when you come near them, they can throw thoughts into your mind. So give yourself some time to master this. Don't think it's going to work out of the gate. Just because you practice it 2 or 3 weeks, that all of a sudden you're going to be proficient. It's going to take some time. And the key to it is trance induction. It's learning how to throw yourself into that alternate state of consciousness to where reality becomes palatable. And when you learn, when you're going into trance, and when you learn to put yourself in the trance, like to throw yourself in the trance, you'll know that there's a world of possibilities, things that you can do that are magical. Create situations and circumstances to your benefit. Not just manipulate situations and people. There's a lot more you can do with this, but it all comes from the frame of learning transcenduction. When I got into magic, that's one of the things in the tradition of ancient Kemet and in the Greek, ancient Greek cultures that they focus on was like hypnosis. They would have stadiums and people would be lying down and there would be an orator that would take them into trance state to experience alternate states of consciousness. And they would use lotus flower, like other things like ayahuasca and DMT to take them into trance. And I'm going to throw a little bit out here. I don't want to talk too much about it. There is a template reality. It's called a template reality. If you go into trance deep enough, that is the basis and building blocks of this reality. If you manipulate the template reality, you change this reality. But you have to go deep enough. Now, one of the things I got proficient at was influencing people. And the reason why I get really good at it, because I was very right brain, I knew how to throw myself into trance state. What we call this a waking trance state. That's exactly the term, the waking trance state, because there's actually a trance state where you close your eyes and you go into trance in the seated meditative position. The waking trance state is actually when you are just like appear to be awake and talking to individuals. Sometimes they call that conversational hypnosis. And what I found out is I was very good at doing it and not realizing what I was doing. And then when you understand what you do, then and you're not very spiritually elevated, you can use this for devious purposes. So you have to be careful. This is why I was born into the Ma'at clan, because Ma'at says, listen, you're going to be born endowed with these powers of hypnosis or transinduction, where you can influence people, but you must learn to live truth and not use this power. When I went to a high priestess to find out about my past life, one of the things that she told me, she says, you are a healer. You can heal people. I said, what do you mean I'm a healer? I don't heal people. I don't know any homeopathic medicine, or Western medicine. I know nothing about healing. I don't know anything Chinese medicine, and I had no interest in learning it. But what I didn't realize was through the power of placing people in the hypnotic state or trance state, I could heal them. I could influence them. And that was wonderful when I discovered that. And that's when I started using it for just purposes to help people. So when I'm telling you this, you can work with this magic to use it for good and to enhance your life. Now, you can also use it and try to use it for devious purposes, but I guarantee you those things will come back at you. Because what you do to others, you're really doing to yourself. Because again, everybody is just a state of you, a reflection of you. That's the Ma'at principle, the interconnectedness and interdependence between everything. I'm going to show you another technique. You want to influence somebody immediately, right? So what you have to understand and have to do is this. The person is walking down the street, hypothetically, and I'm walking toward them, right? And I want to influence them. First thing I must do is to make eye contact. I look them directly in the eyes, and they're going to look back at me. And you must hold that eye contact. Now, it's a very specific type of eye contact. It's not a stare like, because you're going to freak them out. It is a soft eye contact. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to kind of like have a glaze in your eyes. And that glaze that you're going to have in your eyes is the trance state. All right. And that takes practice to get to that. You can tonight go and look yourself in the mirror, go and look in the mirror and practice this, where you're looking in the mirror, looking at yourself, and then you slowly kind of like have your eyes glaze over. You'll know it because you'll get a little bit blurry vision. That means you're moving to the left, to the right brain. Okay, person's walking down the street, you look at them, you must make eye contact. You keep that eye contact, glaze your eyes over, all right? When you're doing that, maintain the eye contact. Now, at that point, you are actually going to access their subconscious mind. And the closer you get, if it's going right, they won't break eye contact. If they break eye contact, you messed up. But as you're walking to them, if they maintain eye contact, then you are accessing the right brain. And that is the time for you now to think about what you want them to think about. And you must do it by exhibiting the emotion behind what you want them to think. So, for example, if I want them to think I'm awesome, now you'll read books on manipulating people and psychic communication, and those books will say, okay, now say you are awesome. If you want, just for example, if you want the person to think that you're awesome, say you're awesome. That does not work. I told you, verbal language does not work. The universe doesn't work through verbal communications, nor does psychic communication work that way. It will only work by you exhibiting the emotion of that. So if you want that person to think you're awesome, you need to feel awesome. And that has to be from the start. Be awesome. Be what you want them to experience or to think. And then at that point, if things go well, you open communication with that individual and you keep the state. And then what you will notice is they will start to say things that you were thinking. That means you have bridged that psychic communication. You're now communicating with their subconscious mind, their spirit. Okay? Now, this comes under the guise of Neka-bet and Jet. Neka-bet is the psychic defensive force in Kemet, and Jet is the offensive force. So your psyche is protected by Neka-bet. So when your psyche goes down, you are open to influences and subliminal influences. That's what happens when your Neka-bet is not fully up. And this is what you're doing when you're working with this individual. You're working on that Neka-bet psychic communication type of thing. Neka-bet is symbolized by the serpent in Kemet. Now, the more you practice this, the stronger you'll get and the more powerful you'll get. And it comes from the act of learning how to exhibit certain emotional states and to shift yourself into those emotional states. You ever have a situation where you walk into a room and you can just feel the energy? That's because those individuals in that room are giving off that certain type of energy. You have to get powerful enough to do that. And the way you do it is to go back into trance and keep practicing and keep practicing. And you have to learn Meneb and Ankh Ma'at. What is Meneb and Ankh Ma'at? Keeping the heart still to live truth. Meaning that if you're in an interaction with somebody and they say something that really gets you, and it gets your animal spirit rallied up, you got to learn how to shift to a pleasurable state. Vadim Zeeland, in his book, Reality Transurfing, talks about pendulums. And these are thought entities out there that they poke you. And what that means is they want you. They want to suck the energy out of you. They want you to be their pawn. So what they'll do is they'll poke you, meaning they create a situation to get you emotionally upset. And when you play their game and you get emotionally upset, you're feeding them. And now you're theirs. But in his book, Reality Transurfing, the way he talks about how to not get attached to those negative pendulums, those thought entities, is that when they poke you and they create a negative situation to have you invoke anger, you surprise them by switching your state. Pleasurable state, I feel good. That doesn't bother me. When that happens, those pendulums, it throws them off. They don't know how to respond. So then they leave you alone. So that's another way of looking at it, that negative situations that occur in your life can occur from a pendulum, a thought virus that pokes you, that wants to play the game. And if you emotionally respond to them, then you're going to be attached to them and connected to them, and they're going to cause havoc in your life. So you have to learn to keep your defenses up. And that's your Neka-bet, that's your psychic energy. Keep that defense up. Also, you have to learn how to drop into the right state so that you will not react in the wrong way. And this takes practice. Shifting to different states of being takes practice. But when you're able to do it efficiently, you're going to have a very happy life because nothing will move you emotionally. Stuff will happen and your reaction to it will be one of peace. That you won't just have a knee-jerk reaction, get upset, go there. But why get upset anyway? Why? Why get upset with avatars? Why argue with yourself? Because that's who they are. What is the point of that? Drop back into trance. See the situation change. See them change and watch the change happen. When you are in a relationship with somebody, and I always talk about this when I'm doing relationship counseling, and you start to argue with them and you go, hey, you go, Kassan, when we first got together, we were just happy. We never argued. We agreed upon everything. And now we're arguing with each other. What's going on? Because you got a new mate. That's what's going on. That's not the same person. You see, what happened was your state changed. And how did your state change? You accepted a new belief system. When you accept a new belief system, the belief systems are tied to an emotion. So you have Sebek and then you have Heteru. Sebek is thoughts. Sebek is ideas. Heteru is visualization and emotions. When you accept a new belief system, a new ideology, that always comes with an emotion attached to that. What are emotions? Nikola Tesla tells us they're vibrational frequencies. What do vibrational frequencies do? They shift us to parallel worlds. What happens when you shift? You leave the current mate and you shift to a parallel world where you now interact with a different mate. So that person is not the same person anymore because you changed. This is why you're conflicting with them. I know it. I have friends that I have butt heads with, and I know the reason why I butt heads with because I shifted. I said, "Oh man, I just shifted to a different parallel world. I got to get out of this one because him and I are butting heads." So you didn't have to learn how to shift either back to where you were before or shift to a new one. Again, all by your emotional state. That is the language of how you communicate to the universe what you want, not by verbal command. This is why when my mate puts a spell together to make me do things that I don't want to do, the spells that she writes have a rhythm to them. They rhyme because that rhythm strikes an accord with the emotional nature within you. See, what they don't tell you is this. You have certain religions, especially the Eastern religions, tell you, oh, you must get rid of emotions. You must be still. You must be at peace. No, 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 no. There's a reason why Neter gave you an animal spirit. There's a reason why Neter gave you emotions. They're there for a reason, or else they would not be there. The ants, the bee that stung you, the alligator, the crocodile, the giraffe, they're here for a reason because they sustain the whole. So your emotions is your magic. This is how you manipulate the world and everything in it. Now, you're not supposed to go crazy and go nuts with the emotions. That's not what they're for. Because you reverse what was supposed to happen. You see, in the story of Haru and Set, the story of Haru and Set, Haru had to seek out the wisdom of Tahuti in order to win against Set. The wisdom that he was looking for was how to tame his animal spirit, because that Set was a symbol of his own animal nature. That's all the Kemetic story was about. Set wasn't a real external character. That was an aspect of Haru. his own deviant animal nature that he had to subdue and win. And when he subdued and win the battle, he had to become first Harukahuti and do battle at Benhutet. And when he became victorious, he rose up the resurrection, the sun rising, the Son of God. He rose up to take the throne, meaning you rise from the R complex and the mammalian brain, rise up to the neocortex, and you assume the throne. But what else did Heru have to do in order to defeat Set? Because one of his eyes was bashed out. He had to awaken his third eye, meaning that in order for you to conquer and deal with this fourth dimensional experience, this holographic experience, you're going to have to use your psychic powers, your third eye. Stop relying on the physical, the concrete, because this world has lied to us. They have indoctrinated us into Western mindset. Western mindset is science works through what? Qualia. What is qualia? Qualia is sensory input, sensory perception. That's how they measure what is real and what is not real. But you cannot measure consciousness. You can't do that. So science, they stop and they don't know what to do. Science doesn't know why we exist, because they know we're not the physical, because there's something beyond that. And they're exploring that by studying ancient Kemet, studying Western religions. This is why science has created their own religion, which is called quantum mechanics or quantum physics. So this story, as Joseph Campbell, the story of the hero, you are Heru, and this is your story that's going on. And you must learn how to subdue your emotions, how to put them in check. See, you're supposed to be the ruler of your emotions and not vice versa. Because many of us, our emotions rule us, and we become set. And then we go before the judgment scene and we weigh our hearts against the feather. Our hearts go boom, because we're heavy-hearted. And then the creature comes and devours us. But if you live lightheartedly, meaning you took neither, as the I Ching tells us, gain nor loss to heart, then you will be able to choose your reincarnation, where you will go next. And the key, one of the keys to living a life of lightheartedness is to understand that it's all Maya, it's all an illusion. But the illusion is very, very real, and you must respect it. Because if you don't respect it, it will hurt you. Don't just think, I'm all powerful, I can do what I want. Hey, whatever. Watch you get your ass kicked. Because you're dealing with the energetic field. It is conscious, it is awake, and it knows how to deal with you because it's you. Really, it's you. And it's responding to your thoughts. This is why everything exists, because it's projecting your thoughts. It's creating everything from your thoughts. You don't realize it, but that's what it's doing. And you must get it under control. You must do that. Because if you don't get it under control, it's going to get stronger because it's feeding off your negative emotions. And it's going to hook up and link up with others out there. And it's going to cause damage to the planet. It's going to cause real damage because your energy affects other people. This is why I don't promote going out there and getting politically involved, going out there and saying, oh, we're going to take up arms against this and that and that and this. I said, that's not necessary. That's not necessary because we're all connected. And you can influence people, politicians, presidents, dictators. You can influence them through your state of being. There is testimony from people, I'm not going to go too deep into this, who have had contact with certain beings who put them into a state of trance. And when they were interviewed, and you can get these videos online on YouTube, you can research this, they were like, I don't know, I just felt like going to this place, or something told me to turn around and go here, and I don't know who was it. I don't know what told me to do that. So there's beings and people out there that can plant thoughts in your mind. This is why it's important for you to understand that you have to live ma'at, of course, but you also have to understand that you have a power that you can use for good, I hope. And I hope that I've kind of given you an insight as to what you, this is nothing. This is the tip of the iceberg. What I'm giving you, I'm not giving you any real good secrets. I would never do that on YouTube. The real occult secrets of manipulating people and manipulating situations, I'm not going to give it out like this. You would have to go through a couple of years of initiation to get that information. So I have no problem giving you this level 1 experience, okay? And you can take it from here. When I was in priesthood and I was studying and we got on to the whole thing about psychic communication and all that, I was hungry. I started getting all the books I can. I started doing all the experiments. I was like, oh, this is so cool. And the high priest was like, Kassan, take it easy now. Take it easy. I said, I was motivated. I said, this is some awesome stuff. Because I never before was exposed to stuff like that. And we did all kinds of experiments in the priesthood about this. So you can begin your own studies. And of course, because you're in the matrix, and this is what we also did in the priesthood, because you're in the matrix, when you exhibit the emotion and you put the call out there to the universe, it will bring you the things that you need. You say, well, I want a book on this. I want money to travel to this seminar to learn more about this. Exhibit the emotion. Put yourself in trance, and the universe will start to grant you what you want. You'll suddenly get a ticket to go to the seminar, and you get your plane fare taken care of. This is how it works. But we're so taught in the Western society of the Cartesian logic, which is a one-to-one relationship with everything, we think everything has to be done on a material, concrete level. And that is not true. You have the power to create whatever reality you want within limitation. Because we're living in an implied, agreed upon reality. We agree that there's gravity, we agree that there's the sun, we agree that there's the stars. You can't change that. That's the agreement. We all made that agreement. We agreed you can't fly, so don't jump off a building and meditate and think you can fly. We agreed you can't do that. We all made this agreement before coming to this existence, this physical existence, to Earth. And there's another dimension, another level where those individuals have made an agreement that you can fly. So there's an existence where people are actually flying. That's another alternate reality that does exist. And they all exist in the now moment. They don't exist in different times, different levels. When we say things like astral project and levels and space, we're just using those words to facilitate the conversation because there's no space. There's nowhere to go. It all exists here and now. You're just shifting. And as you sit here, you exist everywhere in all dimensions. And you are everybody. You are everybody. The guy you're arguing with, you are that guy. You are him. The girl who cheated on you, you are her. It's just a split in the consciousness, an individuality, or the perception of individuality. Because everything is a different perception, a different perspective on something. Netter wants to have different perspectives on everything. That's why when you come, he creates the theme, which is incarnation objective. And within that theme, he creates the characters with the different perspectives so you can experience that theme or, that destiny. So for those of you magis who have mates, who have best friends, who are into the spiritual stuff, try partnering with them and trying these exercises. And you'll find really good results. Let me just say hi to, see if I can say hi to all the magis in the chat room here. All right, Hetepu, Harmony, hey, Hetepu, Dozier, Namaste, Empress, Trini, Namaste, Lucy, Haru Nefer, Michael, Hetep, Jay Christ, Jay the Christ, I love that name. Namaste. Michael Asar, greetings to the God, Hetep. Who else do we have in here? All right. L, good to see you, Hetep. Mr. C, namaste. Takia, Hetepu. All right. Dwa, meaning thanks in the Kemetic religion. Thanks for tuning in today. One day I'll get to writing an ebook on this subject and I'll really expand on it and get deeper into it. But it works really well if you're a right brain. The problem with this technique is if you're very left brain, meaning you're into like accounting or something like that, it's very difficult for you to learn to use this technique. It really works well for those who are predominantly right brain. And you'll know you're predominantly right brain because you probably daydream a lot. You're probably, are very creative. You're probably in an art field, and it's also easier for you to manipulate and throw thoughts into other people who are right brain as well. Now, when I am using this technique on people, it works 80% of the time, 70% of it, 70 to 80% of the time. There are people I can't do it to. Like I said, they're either left brain or they've got their Neka-bet up, meaning they could be in a very angry state or a very awake state where their adrenaline is flowing, and then I have a hard time penetrating through their subconscious mind. But if I get them, number one, if I get them in an enclosed space, or if I make that eye contact, boom, they're mine. And also, I may come out with some videos demonstrating how I do this, so you guys can actually see it working. And those are like what we call like the hidden videos, the videos that are in the field, where you see me actually doing it on people who not aware of it. And I'll demonstrate like what's going on in terms of what I'm doing, and you'll see their reaction. And most things, and most times what I'm doing is I'm helping them to feel good, feel positive. And they come away with the experience going, I really like that guy. I feel positive about things now. This is great. That's how I heal them. That's how I work with people. I have never, ever, I just got a thought that hit my head because I think somebody was thinking that. I've never done it where I've like tried to get people to give me money. Like, no, I haven't done that. I'm like, and I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. Because then that would be a negative karma situation. Because if I took money from them, then that money that I take, I would lose twice as much. You understand? So I only use this technique for good. That way the good karma, ma'at, will come back to me. So keep that in mind. Because if you want to start being Machiavellian and use this in very subversive ways, it's going to damage you. Kevin Davis, could someone from this reality where no one is flying shift to a reality to where people are flying? Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. You just have to, that's what I talked about being a huge quantum leap. Because to shift to a reality that's different from this reality, you have to be powerful enough, have enough energy to shift, to take that big quantum leap. Most people don't do that. But yes, that's possible. And in Vadim Zeland's book, he talks about getting stuck there too. So if you shift to a world where there are people that are flying, there's a possibility you're not being able to get out of that. You could be stuck. That's one of the dangers he talks about. So be aware of that. You don't want to shift to some place you can shift and be around very negative people until you can shift to a parallel world where there's very negative people. I've done that. And you've got to learn to get out of that real quick. It's not good for you. The main thing is, let me break it down. All right, let me break it down. I have to write this down myself. That way I can better communicate it to you. The main thing is you have to first change your belief system. That's the first thing. Exhibit the emotion. Exhibit the emotion. 3, feel it in the now moment. Okay? Feel it in the now moment. And the 4th thing, which is the most important thing, 4 is the number of ma'at, is have faith and believe it will happen. Belief that it will happen. Okay. Number 4 is the most difficult one for most people. And that's why the magic doesn't work. Because most people, they can change their belief system, they can exhibit the emotion, they can feel the emotion in the now moment. The number 4 is the most hardest thing for them, as to feel the belief that if it were happening now, to feel it to the core of your being. So the way I deal with number 4, because it is difficult, is through hypnosis. I throw them into the trance state to change their belief. And I say, you are a multimillionaire. And in that trance state, whatever you say, your subconscious mind accepts it and believes it without critical analysis, because you've disabled the left brain. The left brain is disabled, meaning the left brain now, it can't be critical of it. And Neka-bet is down now. Neka-bet is released. Your Neka-bet is down. Your shield is down. You hear me? So now in that trance state, I can take you to the past. I can take you to the future. You can tell me what's going on. I can say, you know what, Kevin Davis, I want you to go to the year 3000. Tell me what it's like. And there's a famous woman, Dolores Cannon, hypnotist. This is what she did. She would take people into the future and take people into the past. And she recorded all of this and documented this. Neka-bet. That's your psychic protection. If your Neka-bet is down, then all our magi's or black magicians can put thoughts into you. Now, I haven't given you the whole secret, of course, because putting thoughts into your psyche and then making you do and act upon those thoughts, oh, that's a bit different. That's a bit different. All right? I'm not going to give you that. And that's one of the most challenging parts, to get them to act upon those thoughts. Because everybody has a thought. Like I said, it comes and it goes, you know. But how do you get them to act upon it? And there's a way to do it. But again, I'm not going to show you that, because I'll be violating Ma'at. I'll be throwing that information out there, and then you guys will go crazy with it. And I have a bunch of black magicians out there doing stuff. And they'll be like, and then the priest will call me up and they'll be like, Hassan, what did you do? You created the dark side, the Sith. They're out there. All kinds of crazy stuff would happen then, you know. But I want to tell you, I'm being honest with you. There are some very dark magicians out there doing some very bad stuff. And they're very powerful too. Very powerful. You don't want to mess with them. But they don't make themselves publicly known, you know. Which is why in the news, when you see things going on, people acting crazy, shooting up things, a lot of that is dealing with the occult. But the news spins it so you don't understand and know what's caused it. All right, namaste. This is Kasank Mahakeparu, son of Ma'at and Tahuti. My aunt is the beautiful goddess Hedaru. Until my next video, Amun Ra.